On a Friday talking about college football, a sport that I think is on the path to failure here in America as we roll on with 2020. It's been a weird year, and I think college football has taken a big hit, and really not just because of the coronavirus. This was a trend that I think has been happening for a couple of years now, and I've got some numbers to back that up. And then I think really accelerated by what this college football season has been like. And we'll compare it and see how the NFL can maybe help and what the college game can take from the NFL in order for college football to be saved here in 2020 and moving forward, Zach. We're going to have a good show. So we'll get to this. I'll also we'll ask you guys, what do you care more about, college football or the NFL? And then also, one college football team I've been riding with over the last few weeks that I'll disclose in our SEC picks, and ain't that good news? Gonna have a good show, Zach.
Yeah, and on this topic, like Austin and I don't talk about what we think about before the show. This is one of the shows that I am more interested in to hear his opinion, because I've now formulated an opinion on what I think about this topic, and I don't know where he's going to go with this. And so we're going to battle it out. We'll see what happens. But I do think that there is something there. And the other thing that is there is that share button.
Yes.
The bottom right corner of your screen. share now to public. You need to share a show around. You got to share the show on Twitter. That's what we need you to do. We need to pop up in your Twitter followers timeline. Also on Facebook, bottom left corner of your screen, share now to public. That's what we need. We need to pop up in your Facebook friends newsfeed. What's going on YouTube? What's going on Twitch? We're having a good time on this Friday. We got Ain't That Good News at the end. We got a lot to discuss, SEC game predictions, and what's wrong with college football. So, Austin, let's get this party started.
Yep, let's do it officially. Welcome into A to Z Sports. I'm Austin Stanley. He is Zach Bingham. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at A to Z Sports. You look at our Facebook page at A to Z Sports Nashville. We're Nashville's on-demand sports talk network, and we go live every weekday morning at 8 Central Time. Got to thank our sponsors because they truly make it happen for us, our show, and you guys. Renters Warehouse Nashville, the professional landlords in the Nashville area. renterswarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. Mandu, the pulse of fitness for one 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com. Your first workout is free. The Tucker Agency, saving you money on your personal insurance at tuckertn.com. Calvin and Subtle for your new hardwood floors and finishings, calvinandsettle.com. And the Bone and Joint Institute, boneandjointtn.org, the region's destination for comprehensive orthopedic and sports medicine care, boneandjointtn.org. Skylar says, Zach rocking that fresh fade. Yeah, we both got haircuts, I believe, yesterday. But Zach, moving forward, college football is failing. That is my overall take. You don't know much behind what the details of my take are, but you did mention that you kind of formulated your own opinion based off of the overall topic of this morning's show.
Yeah, and I want you to go first on this because mine centers around a different theory. It's not necessarily specific, but I do think that, and let's face it, the coronavirus has impacted everybody's life, whether you're an Uber driver or you're a Fortune 500 CEO. It doesn't matter. It has affected you in some way. And college football, look, they had to take different precautions with this coronavirus, and everybody thinks differently about it. Austin, I'll give you an example, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is not necessarily a coronavirus show, but last night I went to a restaurant, and for the first time, I had to wear a mask every time the waiter or waitress approached.
Really?
It was the first time I had to do that. I bit my lip because I had to put my mask on so many damn times.
Like you physically bit it. You didn't just like figuratively bite your lip.
No, yeah, I actually bit it. So I'm dealing with that. I'm playing hurt this morning. But that was the first time that happened, right? And that restaurant thought a certain way compared to probably, mom and pop store in, outskirts of Nashville. So everybody treats it differently. And what we've seen in college football And the NFL treats it a certain way, but college football, these different conferences treat it a different way. But what is the everlasting impact of this year moving forward? I do think that is a big thing.
Yeah, real quick before I do that, Danny digging the unibrow, Zach, and then Rob saying, "Is it me or does Zach have a unibrow?" Yes, Zach has a unibrow. That's true because the Magic Bucket, BioPure Music City Magic Bucket, told Zach to have a unibrow today, so he's got one. So I was curious. It took literally 8 minutes for somebody to comment the first unibrow comment.
Looks real.
It does. So, look, overall, and Sean says, just because Tennessee football is failing doesn't mean college football is failing, Austin. That is not my purpose. This is something, and I actually listened to Buck's 615 sessions earlier in the week, and he did his 5 good minutes on Tuesday's episode about what's happening with college football and the lack of conversation, the lack of really fan demand in talking about college football and how the NFL has dominated every Monday and really dominated every Tuesday. And really, for us, we do a sports talk show every day of the week. We lead and we talk NFL way more than college football. And we've been doing this for 6+7 years, Zach. Not in this exact format, but for quite a long time. And this is the most NFL-dominated football season we've had. Now, obviously, the coronavirus has an impact with it. But the gap has never been this wide between the NFL and college football. The jigsaw puzzle schedule in college football, because conferences start at different times and different weeks and play different schedules, that makes it confusing. I think the lack of offseason development has made the week-to-week play too irregular for fans to really understand what they're getting themselves in for. But the problem is the coronavirus gave us all different options in the spring and the summer to find entertainment outside of sports digitally and find other ways to spend our time. But the crux of it is this. College football has had an issue, and it's been dated before the coronavirus. There are 130 football bowl subdivision college football teams. Over 100 of those are playing for nothing. Literally nothing. They don't have a chance to win a title, and we as human beings now no longer have the attention span to care about the Outback Bowl or the Tax Slayer Bowl or even the Music City Bowl here in town. The elite in college football have gotten too elite. Listen to this, Zach, because I went back and looked at this. There has been 6 college football playoffs completed. This year will be number 7. Of the 12 semifinal games, meaning 1 versus 4 and 2 versus 3, 12 games played. Only 3 of them have been decided by single digits. It's been blowouts even between 1 and 4 and 2 and 3. There are so many teams like Tennessee, like South Carolina, like Auburn at times, like Texas A&M. Those are just the SEC teams that have huge fan bases that are in like a decade-long building of a program to at least try to compete for their division, let alone a spot for the college football playoff. So you're not playing for anything. You've got a handful of elite teams that are dominating everything in the sport. And the NFL, you've got 32 teams, and everybody has a tangible goal that they have an opportunity to get to. And if they fail one year, they can have a quicker turnaround and rebuild. But in college football, if you suck, you're going to continue to suck. If you're really damn good, you're going to continue to be really damn good. And I don't know how the college football can get out of this cycle, because that's kind of how we are. We've got so many other ways to spend our time, and football is a big deal, right? Yeah, everybody's got that phone. You're on it right now watching our show, probably. But the NFL is a superior product, and college football is, I think, on the path to failing because they have so many issues they have to figure out.
Well, that fact is pretty interesting about the scores of the games. And the other thing to that is the teams are the same, right? Alabama and Clemson and Ohio State have all been in
Oklahoma.
And Oklahoma are always in it. Right? So now what does that do to all of the other teams? It literally rips hope away from them. The problem is, and as you mentioned, look, I am pro-expansion. You are anti-expansion. That's fine. The issue is not expanding doesn't fix the problem, but expanding still doesn't fix the problem. You know why? And we all know it. Alabama is going to blow out an 8 seed if they expand to 8 teams, right? Now, you may have the one upset. More football is always better. But you're right. I mean, they have a fundamental flaw that they have to figure out, but it's not easily fixed, right?
Right.
They're helpless because of the structure of it. So they have to shake things up. We'll get to a question later that I'm really intrigued about talking about. So I'm going to take it a little step further because I don't disagree with what you said. I do find that very interesting.
Okay.
Everybody expects Alabama and Clemson, all those teams. And then when you get into it, one team is far better than the other.
And Ethan Ramsey says college football is so top heavy and it seems to get heavier every year at the top.
Right. And I thought it was a good comment by Dom. He says college football has become irrelevant because of the talent gap and lack of competitive games, which goes to kind of what we're saying. He says there's no reason why Alabama and Vanderbilt should be in the same conference, the same way Clemson and Wake Forest shouldn't. It's pointless. But the problem is money. Money keeps them together, right? And so that is their issue.
Well, and Rob asked what was the score stat again. There have been 12 college football playoff semifinal games, which 6 1 versus 4s and 6 2 versus 3. Of the 12 games, only 3 have been decided by single digits. One of them was fantastic, went to double overtime, Georgia versus Oklahoma in the Rose Bowl. That was amazing, right? We remember that one. But we don't, we easily forget about the 30-3 score or Bama blowing out Michigan State or any of that other nonsense that put us to sleep on a Saturday night.
Yeah, so here's what I think. And I go to where I kind of always look at life about this is understand your past, know where you are now, but really strive for your future, right? How are you getting better? You have to always get better, whether you're a football player or you're a business. In this case, the NCAA, they're not getting better, right? They're not fixing any of their problems. They're not paying players. They're not helping out players. The conferences run things. The NCAA is completely and utterly faceless, right? Mark Emmert never speaks, and they run this multi-billion-dollar business. Here is the bigger problem of what we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
It is because of the coronavirus, we've really put to test our care about sports.
Yeah.
And we have a lot of people. The NFL has done a great job. The reason why I put Tom Brady on our graphics because I'm Tom guy, big Tom guy.
Recent time guy.
But they have stayed relevant. College football has struggled to stay relevant. And it goes to not playing for anything. Here's the issue. College football is the driving force of the industry. I'll be honest. I don't care about women's basketball. I don't. I don't care about softball. I don't care about college baseball, to be honest. I don't care about rifle team or cross country. And now we've tested everybody in America that watches sports. It's been ripped away from them. Now it's come back at a lesser product. If I didn't like women's basketball, I don't have any chance to come back and like women's basketball. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. If I didn't like cross country or college baseball, nothing is going to get me, especially if they don't change, to come back and cheer for it. The NFL is a business. And what does the NFL always do? They always evolve. They've changed their playoff schedule. They've talked about changing their playoff schedule after they already changed their playoff schedule to deal with the coronavirus, to add more games, to add more money, to add more revenue. Roger Goodell, love him or hate him, is a genius. He is a marketing genius. He is a business genius. He makes bad decisions. I don't want to sit there and say geniuses can make bad decisions. But the right person is running and steering the ship. The wrong person is steering, which it's a much more difficult job to fix the NCAA. Yes. But they don't have anybody working on it.
Because the NCAA has a bunch of different conferences playing under its own rules and its own
Structure.
commissioner. Yeah, so it is all over the place. A to Z Sports here live on a Friday. I think we're having a good conversation. There's some good comments that we want to read here in a second, including one from Skylar that I want to get to. But we do want to ask you guys this question. Which do you care more about, college football or the NFL? Which do you care more about, college football or the NFL? But before we get to some of your comments and those answers, let me tell you guys about the Bone and Joint Institute. I care about staying healthy, and when I get hurt, I want to make sure I get the best care possible, and that's at the Bone and Joint Institute. They've got over a dozen doctors there in Franklin at their beautiful facility. They can make sure you get back to living your life, and they can help you out at every step of the process, whether the diagnosis, the testing, the surgery itself, or the rehab happens all in that building, boneandjointtn.org. I've had my shoulder worked on there. I've had my knee doctor who's there now. Zach has had his shoulder doctor over there now as well. Boneandjointtn.org is where to go, boneandjointtn.org.
A to Z Sports. Look, I'm going to go ahead and live tweeting inside because Jimmy Morris of Music City Miracles or Broadway Sports, whatever, just commented on our tweet that we just had. He says, not surprising for a UT fan and an Ole Miss fan.
Oh, Jimmy probably was not listening to the actual.
Well, that's why I just tweeted him. Come on in, right? Jimmy, come on in. I'd love to hear you. And look, Bama Shane is back in here. That's great, right? And he says, look, our youngest, oh, this is great. Bama Shane, our guy.
Bama Shane, loving sponsors.
Right? But it's not about Ole Miss and Tennessee. Ole Miss has been trashed for a while, Jimmy. I still like college football. That's not it.
This is not about Zach and I are still watching college football. It's about the demand of you guys, the fans.
That's what we're talking about. Product.
Yes.
It's the overall product. And Jimmy, who we know is a Alabama fan. And Alabama is undefeated. They have an opportunity at a national championship. I don't know who the hell they're going to play if the Pac-12 doesn't play or Big Ten keeps canceling games. But right, it's not about the team. It's about the overall product that college football is not doing a very good job of curating and getting better. That's what we're talking about. I could give a rip about Ole Miss and UT in this conversation. Ole Miss sucks. They have. Look, surprise, last year, still didn't have a defense. I still love college football. We're diagnosing why, though.
Yeah.
And one of the questions that we just asked is, what do you care more about, the NFL or college football? I'm curious to hear our responses. And, Tress comes in and says, I care more about the NFL. I think a lot of people are aligned with Tress and everybody else in America.
Yeah. And the comment I want to get to from Skylar earlier in the show, as we've got Ronnie saying NFL, Karen saying NFL. Now, Jeff Rubel cares about college football hands down. Jeff Rubel's a big Ohio State fan. So that does probably carry Jeff Rubel because his team is playing for the best of the best every year. And they have not been able to win national titles like Alabama has. I think if Alabama fans probably have more fatigue than Clemson fans and Ohio State fans right now, I think Clemson fans are probably on the verge of having championship fatigue next, but Ohio State has not been there as often as Alabama. And so Alabama fans, at some point, they got to stop spending all their money on doing the same thing they do every year. The same party's getting boring, right? If you go to the same Christmas party every year, at some point, it's going to get boring.
I disagree. That's you speaking from a Tennessee fan that hadn't won a damn thing in 20 plus years. That's me speaking. We don't know. We don't know. We don't know. We never been to the party, Austin. You've never been invited. I have never been invited. So that is, I actually will call you out for this. I think that is a trash take.
Okay.
Your first trash take of the day.
Right,
you can't talk about a party you've never been invited to.
So, all right, but I think I've had a lot of good takes, and Bama Shade promptly says winning never gets old. But I do think Skylar's comment says in-conference schedules don't help. I absolutely agree. Remember, and Mark Beach says Austin is exactly correct, Roll Tide. But here's what Skylar's point is of playing only conference schedules, like the SEC playing 10 SEC games. That sounded exciting, but it's made me care less about the conferences outside of the SEC because I'm not going to have to watch those games coming up. Like if I'm a Tennessee guy, right? I would have been watching Oklahoma because Tennessee and Oklahoma played each other, and I wanted to be excited about what to expect with that game. Or whatever non-conference conference crossover opponent you might have, you're going to be paying attention more to what that team looks like in their resume. And now by eliminating the cross-conference games, I think you've really hurt a lot of the interest outside of your own conference wherever you are. In Big 12 country, you probably care less about the ACC and the SEC and the Big 10 than you did in the past. I think it goes that way across all of the Power 5 conferences.
Austin, I know we disagree on this, but the only way to fix the college football as a whole, so it's not just Alabama, Clemson, and Ohio State fans caring about the product, is expand the playoff. Problem with college football, Austin, is Tennessee loses to Florida week 3 most of the time. Their hopes are dashed, right? But if you have more teams, they have more opportunity to lose games and go to the playoff.
And that goes back to my initial thing is like,
expand the playoff.
Because right now, I said over 100 teams are playing for nothing. Like there are 130 teams in FBS. Over 100, and that's probably low, they're playing for nothing. Maybe
4? Only 4?
Well, I mean, I think maybe 10, right? Maybe 10 teams at the beginning of the year and throughout the year are actually legitimately playing for something. The other 120, they're just kind of sitting around going through the motions. And like what are you actually playing for if you're not a fan of Bama, LSU, not necessarily this year, Florida, Georgia, and the other 10 SEC fan bases? What are you actually playing for? Because you have a massive roadblock in your own division that's going to stop you from achieving anything.
Yeah, so it's a good assumption, but like Bobby brings up, he says the top 4 teams will steamroll the next 4 teams you let in. That's an assumption, right? The one thing that you're trying to bet on, why is March Madness so successful, Austin? Because it has a buku of teams, and on any given day, you can do that. Listen, let me finish. Okay. Football is different. I want to stand that. But if you don't give that opportunity, you'll never know. And one thing by allowing 8 or 16 teams in, and I think that this year will force them to do this because they will have to change because they're going to have to make money because the universities will fail. Because college football is failing as far as revenue in 1 year, that's going to set back the universities and how they manage and how they run for years. The repercussions of this, again, I'm not trying to fear anybody, but coronavirus is going to absolutely bend America over. And it already has. Yeah. And we're not going to be able to walk straight for the next 3 or 4 years because that's what it is.
Yes.
I mean, that is exactly what it is. And football, college football has to be fixed. The only way you fix it is to give more teams hope. Whether it's false hope,
yes,
it's hope.
You're right. False. And look, I'm on that. I agree. But here's also the realization, because Bobby said, going back to his comment you put up earlier, the top 4 teams will still steamroll the next 4 teams you let in. I'll go back to my 3 of the 12 semifinal games. Only 3 of the 12 decided by single digits. How about let's go to the 6 national championship games, Zach, where 3 of the 6, half of the national championship games were decided by 20 or more. So not even like the first 4 and the second 4 demolishing those, but 1 versus 2 has only been competitive half the time. And by 20 or more, like you're telling me there is a 3 touchdown difference half the time between the best team and the second best team? That is a massive problem. And then a point that I haven't even gotten to yet, with the name, image, and likeness rule likely to go into effect sooner rather than later, the rich are going to get richer. Are they not? Because the teams that have the money, the teams that have the care are going to continue to get better players because they're going to pay more and have the ability to pay more. And with coronavirus, it's going to get even harder for those sub teams.
Nobody cares about those teams. I'll give you a good example. Two programs that have more money than we would ever know or actually know. Michigan and Tennessee. They have nothing to show for it. Now, Austin, you may be invited to the party. You know why? Because Tennessee, they're willing to pay. Michigan, they're willing to pay. Michigan State, they're willing to pay. Ole Miss would pony up. They've already done that, right? They did it under the table, right? So actually, I disagree with you. If you open up, and I do think this is the bigger solution to fix the slight problem, right? I think expanding the playoff just pops one pimple. It doesn't fix your acne. You need to go get some
Accutane.
Accutane. That's what I was saying.
Try that crap out. I almost said a different word.
Right, but Accutane, and how you get Accutane is, and look, I'm coming in with some deep analogies today. Thank you for the assist on that.
Well,
Accutane
fresh in my mind from Buck's Twitter spat from a couple.
Accutane to fix this acne is paying players, because more people will be invited to the party, and your team like Tennessee and my team like Ole Miss and Oklahoma State and TCU and all the boosters, Texas now, right? They'll now start. Now you'll have 8 teams you can pay. I want Texas and Alabama in the first round to be competitive, and it will, because Alabama won't always get the best players because they get the best coach.
Mm-hmm.
Because now you're making 18-year-olds make hard decisions. Not, hey, I'm going to go here, follow me. I'm going to go here. I changed my mind. Now you're making them choose between coach, program, and money. Yeah. And once you have that decision, people, they're trying to get out of the trailer park. They're trying to get out of the ghetto. They're trying to get out of the situation that unfortunately, a lot of players are in. They'll choose the money, and overall, it will help the product. The issue, and as Pitbull eloquently said, there are no problems. There are only solutions. They need to start working on the solution. And Mark Emmert is the wrong guy to do it. The NCAA is the wrong association to do it. They need to completely restructure and have a businessman come in and make some moves.
All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Friday. Let's talk about this. And the next question is, what does college football need to take away from the NFL to help save the college game? I think Zach has one with paying the players or allowing the players to make some money. But what does the college football game need to look at with the NFL to help save itself? But first, Zach, tell the people about Calvin and Subtle.
Yeah, Calvin and Subtle is where you need to get your hardwood floors. 615-448-6414. That's 615-448-6414. Get brand new hardwood floors in your house. Screw 2020. We're trying to bust into 2021 with a brand new outlook on life. Finding those solutions and getting rid of the problems. Dolly, right? Mr. Worldwide. You can live like Mr. Worldwide with brand new hardwood floors in your home. Your wife's going to love it. Your family's going to love it. You're going to upgrade the equity of your house by just ripping up that old trashy carpet that you've been stepping on for the last 20 years or 5 years or 10 years and replacing it with really good hardwood floors. I'm passionate about this because I know it will help your life and your lifestyle. It'll make you feel better. Calvin and Subtle will make your house look a lot better. 615-448-6414.
A to Z Sports, still got our betting picks to come up, and I'm going to tell you the one team I've been riding hot for 3 weeks. MyBookie.ag, code MyTitans, and double your first deposit at MyBookie.ag. The question here is, what does college football need to take away from the NFL to help save the college game? And Zach, you brought up having the players able to make money, and that's by name, image, and likeness. And Mark Beach says, is an education not worth anything anymore?
No. Mark, good question. No.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's a part of it. It's a slice, it's a piece of the puzzle, but it's not everything.
Because of coronavirus, and Mark, I'm not trying to be an a-hole. I'm just being honest. And some people don't like to hear that. Education is not worth it anymore. And I used to be on the other side of it. And I think colleges and universities will start to understand that. It's just like sports gambling becoming relevant. It's just like legalization of crack in Oregon. You know why they did that? To make more money. Because everybody's struggling because the damn virus has overtaken our country and changed the world that we live in. So things are going to change because you have to find untraditional ways to make revenue now that the virus has messed up what you had.
So here's how I'm going to go about this, because I think the model is broken. The model of the football bowl subdivision with 130 teams is broken. The Power Five and the Group of Five is no longer working. Tress says fewer blowout matchups. There are too many 63-10 games, and it's boring to watch. And you talk about name, image, likeness. You've got the Power Five teams that are able to play that game. The Group of Five teams are not able to play that game. If you're going to go to MTSU, what name, image, likeness deal are you going to get for playing for the Blue Raiders? Nothing. If you go to Tennessee, Knoxville, and the fan base, you like most Tennessee starters, like how much money could Trey Smith, a left guard, make in endorsements this year as a Vol football player? He could do pretty well for himself. And that's an offensive lineman and a really good one at that. So here's what another problem that college football has, and Zach, we know this very well because of the business that we run. College football is a 3.5-month season. It's 3.5 months. It's it. That's it. And the coronavirus has shortened that down even more. The NFL is 10.5 months. They take off a month and a half in June and July. That's it. After that, they are year-round, baby. They've got the playoffs in January, the Super Bowl and the Combine in February, free agency in March, draft in April, OTAs May, mini camps June, off July, August training camp, September through December regular season. They've got it all over the calendar. The college football game has to become more year-round. They cannot only exist in 3.5 months and do 15 spring practices that nobody cares about anymore. And the only way to do that is to have the players be compensated, because now you can at least force
them to do things.
Yes, tell them to do things, have them do things outside of their 20 hours a week in the season or whatever the regulations are. And by the Power Five conferences splitting away and going and creating their own division, now instead of 130, you've got 65 and 65 teams who can commit to compete on a high level financially. I think that's how it fixes itself, because you have to have teams that are invested the same amount of, whether it's money or finances or just whatever resources, into making the college game better, because nobody cares about college football in April or May. Nobody cares about college football in February minus 1 day. And they care less about that 1 day because they created another day in December before it that ruins the February day of National Signing Day. College football has to become more year-round. They're screwing themselves because the NFL is dominating everybody out year-round.
And Bama Shane is right. It would require a players' union to make that happen, just like the pro leagues do to regulate it. I don't know how the new age feels about unions, right? When I think of a union, this is just like a personal, maybe it's a stereotype, right? When I think of a union, I think of a steel worker in Pittsburgh, right? A part of a union. That's what I think of. I know that it expands bigger than that, but they have to figure that out to unite themselves.
Yeah.
So that, but the problem is you have a players union going against a business, which is the NCAA or college football or college sports in general, that is so ass backwards that you can't work with them, right? The reason why you have players union is to negotiate. Well, when you're negotiating with a nitwit like Mark Emmert or anybody running that association, you're kind of screwed. You'll never get anything done. It's kind of like the election right now, right? I don't know what the hell's happening. I've stopped watching it. I've stopped tracking Twitter because it's going into legalities that I don't understand, and I don't have the time to think about or put my emotion into. And that's what you're going to get into. You're going to get into a holding pattern. So I think I agree with I almost agree with everything that you said, Austin. That never happens.
Yeah.
Because I do think year-round is the problem, but my hope, which college football teams don't have a lot of, I don't have a lot of hope that it's going to get fixed, and that's going to happen.
It's because it's an uphill battle, because Jacob says, I take my family to the orange and white spring game every year. And Jacob, that's like, and he would be a good person to ask a follow-up about this, is like, you've watched this every year. How has everybody else around you changed? Are there like I know this, like they're not going anymore. Like obviously 2020 is different, but I get like, and when I was in college, from the 4 years I was in college, from 2008, I guess 2009 to 2011 or 12, the difference of people caring about the spring game, of the level of tailgates we had my freshman year to the level of tailgate we did not have my senior year, that 4 year span of caring about spring football was drastic. It just poof dropped off the cliff because there's so many other things we can now do.
You think college students care about it now?
No, hell no. But the first couple of years of college, that was the biggest day of the spring.
It's like fraternity hazing. It's gone away, right? And it's never coming back.
Yes. And it's just college football has a problem. They've got to get themselves – it's a failing business.
So on a scale of 1 to 10, Austin, what is your hope that they'll fix it?
3. I mean, I think the name – I think you changed my mind on the name, image, likeness thing. That'll help. So that's why I have a 3. I think it's going to take a lot longer for the Power 5 splitting away to create its own division. That's what's going to have to happen for it to even be as relevant as the NFL. I think college football in the format that it is currently in has peaked.
Yeah, and Brock brings up a very good point. Fantasy football is huge for the NFL. They got to figure out how to do that for college football. You know why? Because then daily fantasy comes in and they make money off of, the big names of like DraftKings and FanDuel and BetMGM and all that. They make money off of that to help them get out of the hole that coronavirus has put them in. You talked about the name, image, and likeness, Austin. I laughed to myself earlier because I was like, you know what? Jared Garantano should get an endorsement from Six Flags because he's like a roller coaster, right? He's up and down. Every week's different.
Yeah, or Butterfinger. I mean, could you see like a Jared Garantano in a Butterfinger commercial? I don't know if that would work or not, but Six Flags Kentucky Kingdom or Atlanta. Like the only time I go to Atlanta, hi, my name's Jared Garantano. The only time I'm in Atlanta is to go to Six Flags Kentucky or whatever over Atlanta. That would be funny. That would be great. I botched it, but that would be great.
Yeah, Rob's like, now you got to Zoom fraternity hazing. We don't have enough time to talk about what the stuff that I had to do or made people do when I was in college. And just like, the older people are, that's just how it was. And it has changed. It's probably better. Right now I'm looking back on it, I was like, that was stupid. I didn't have to do wall sits for that long. That didn't help me. I need to get closer to my brother because I was doing wall sits while AC/DC Hell's Bells was going on in a disco while everybody in the frat was running across our legs. That didn't help me, right? So it's changed. But how does college sports change where you can make money and profit where everybody wins?
It's about the interest. It's about getting everybody interested in the game and in the sport and caring. Sam on Twitter asked he'd wonder what the TV ratings are between the Vols and the Titans. Like if they're like they were both on CBS 2 weeks ago. Now that was Titans Steelers, so different, right? We understand Titans Steelers is different, 5-0, 5-0, and then Alabama, Tennessee. They're both on CBS back-to-back days. Steelers Titans in Nashville was a 28.8. Bama Vols blowout, I get it, but it was a 16. Like that is a massive difference in what the city cares about. And with the Alabama Vols game, that's 2 fan bases that are local because I think you can count the Alabama fan base in Nashville as a local team almost.
Man, I haven't officially given the love of the show, but Tress gets it. Tress's comment is literally the funniest thing I've heard. He says, the Vols are hazing the fan base, break us down to make us more loyal. That is the most true statement. That's what they're doing. The Vols are just hazing their fan base to get them closer to their brother.
And Jimmy joined the show after saying that it was that Tennessee and Ole Miss fan having this take. Jimmy says the NFL has always crushed college in TV ratings. This isn't new. I never said it was new. I was just answering the question and giving you a CBS versus CBS example because that's the best example we can have. The NFL always rates so much higher than college football. My point is, Jimmy, that this year the gap between the two has never been wider. And it's been that way as we've gotten over the last 2 or 3 years. It's continued to get wider and wider and wider and wider because the elite have gotten too elite.
But this may push them to change, Austin, because the money has been taken away from them. I truly believe that maybe, you talk about bad things happening in companies and in life. It usually turns out, now to some people or most people, I always think is you try to take that and you say, all right, that didn't work and I'm in a bad spot. How do I get out of it? And then usually when you figure that out, you get in a much better spot than you previously were in before the bad thing happened. Mm-hmm. So I think that the loss of revenue because of the coronavirus year, and it's probably 2 years, let's just face it, right?
Yeah.
I actually think that it could push them to change because they've lost money. My hope meter, now that I've talked myself into it, is a 5. And it was
it's forced literally every business to adapt. Even us. It's forced us to adapt, and we've gotten better because of it. So the college football has to, or it's not going to work out very long. All right, A to Z Sports here live on a Friday. I do have my one college football team that I've been riding in my gambling picks for 3 consecutive weeks that I will now disclose. I told you last week, if I win the bet last Saturday for 3 weeks straight, then I will tell you my hot team. And I've made a play for the 4th straight week on this team. But first, let me tell you guys about Mandu, the Pulse of Fitness, where 1 15-minute workout equals 5+ hours in the weight room. Mandu.com, your first workout is absolutely free. Look, if you can't lift weights like you used to because you've got some type of ailing injury that's just driving you crazy, Mandu helps with that. Because it puts zero stress on that joint. You can still build the muscles around that injury and actually help alleviate the pain in the long run. I've done exactly that with my shoulder bone spur. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free. It's great during the pandemic because it's by appointment only. Mandu.com. Your first workout is absolutely free.
This football season, we've teamed up with MyBookie, code MyTitans for all of our fans. You can go there, double your first deposit. Hey, go there, double your first deposit. This is what you should do, Austin. If you're emphatic about this, and I know the team because you've told me, is you should go there, put $100 in MyBookie account, create a MyBookie account, and what you should do is you'll have $200 to play with. Put $200 down on this team, Austin. You're about to feed them some money. This could be a $400 swing. What do you got?
Zach, the last 3 weeks have gone 3-0 by picking the Chanticleers of Coastal Carolina to cover the spread in 3 straight games. Coastal Carolina out of Myrtle Beach in North Carolina has been on fire. The 6-0 Chants are ranked 15th in the country, and they have been blowing out people. Do you know what a Chanticleer is, Zach?
A Chanticleer?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a bird.
It's a rooster, to be more exact. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers are the team to go after. They've been dominating people, and right now they're playing South Alabama tomorrow night at 7. And so, are you laughing?
I should have said lighting fixture. I missed the joke. Damn.
Yes. But Coastal Carolina, right now they're an 18-point favorite over South Alabama. So Vegas is catching up to Coastal Carolina. -18 ain't the pick. That's a lot. I think they could still have a chance to cover that. But Zach, what I did this morning is I put Coastal -10 in the first half. That is the pick this week to ride with the Chants. The Coastal Carolina Chanticleers -10 at home, hosting 3-3 South Alabama. First half.
Now you've sparked my interest, right? Now this is what college football needs to do. Saddle up with betting and to get people involved.
And they're not going to lose, Rob, to South Alabama. Coastal Carolina's got something rolling right now. They are fun to watch. And they did. I don't
Sounds
know
like an announcer saying he hasn't missed a kick in 50 attempts.
Did you see what they did in one of their locker room celebrations after a win? They simulated a wrestling match between the two mascots in the locker room. Like, you know how it's like Club Victory or something like that, where they go disco lights and strobe lights in the locker room? No, they got their mascot and another dude dressed up in the opposing team mascot and simulated a wrestling match, like WWE style. And it was absolutely absurd. So Jarrell says, I agree, Austin. I watched every game. You see, you got Coastal Carolina pulling ratings from Jarrell.
First half -10. I'll look for it.
First half -10. That's the play.
There you go. Let's pick some games.
And
we got only 4 games.
They beat Georgia State last week 51-0. And that spread was easy money. It was like 5.5. So there you go. All right. Go ahead.
Let's pick these because we got 4 games. This is the other problem with this year, right? Is like there's not that many games.
Yeah. They're not that many games here in the SEC. Before we get to our SEC picks, Zach, tell the people about the Tucker Agency.
Yeah, TuckerTN.com. Will at TuckerTN.com. You can email him today. Homeowners insurance, life insurance, renter's insurance. He will look at your policy and help you out. He truly will. Will at TuckerTN.com. That is the email. All you got to do is say, hey, heard about you on A to Z Sports. How can I save money? The average customer that emails him saves 20%. You can't beat that. That's TuckerTN.com.
All right, A to Z Sports, our SEC picks. I have not been good in the SEC. I've been writing.
Man, I thought I was going to get you. I won. We split last time of the 2 games. I thought Missouri screwed me. Missouri, Florida. No, I won. What was the game that you lost last week or that you won?
It was Arkansas +12 against A&M, and it was a brilliant cover by the Razorbacks. Brilliant.
So what is our records? Our records are not good. I'm even. Right? I hadn't won any money, but I hadn't lost any money. I'm 18-18.
Yeah, you were dead even at 18-18. I'm still just struggling. I'm 3 games behind you. So I'm 3 games under 500. I can fix it, right? Like all I got to do is I've been better. Like I've been 500 the last 3 weeks. It's just the first 3 weeks when I went to crapper.
You sound like a grade schooler who got in trouble telling his teacher,
I'm going to be better. I promise. I'm going to be better.
I can fix it.
But, dude, you're failing English. I'm going to read my assignments this time.
There's 2 weeks left to go in the semester. You can't fix
No, there's plenty of time. There are 5 more weeks. I've got time to flip this baby around. Now, can I flip it around to beat you? I don't know. But I've got time to flip it around, Zach. All right, SEC picks. Let's get this thing fired up. The first one we're going to go with is Tennessee at Arkansas. The Vols are a 1.5-point favorite.
Garantano's playing, correct?
Garantano is the starter. He is the father of this Tennessee loss. Arkansas is going to win, so I'm taking Arkansas +1.5. Arkansas 5-0 against the spread this week or this season. Arkansas is going to get 6-0 against the spread. This game is all about turnovers. Tennessee is going to turn the ball over. Arkansas usually doesn't turn the ball over. And Arkansas intercepted your boy Matt Corral 6 times a couple weeks ago. So I think Arkansas +1.5.
It's at Arkansas?
It is in Arkansas, yes. Arkansas money line is a great gamble at mybookie.ag because you get better odds than the +1.5. I might go do that, actually. Come on now. I mean, we got a lot of dead air here.
I'm taking Tennessee.
Oh, Vols. Zach going Vols minus the 1.5.
Yeah. And it's mainly due to the bye week. You've had enough time to fix a lot of your problems. They have a lot of them. You're not going to fix all of them. But I don't know. This is a gut feeling on my end. I'm going to take Tennessee to win outright.
That's not the spread's 1.5, so you can't pick.
I thought it was it's Tennessee -1.
Yeah, Tennessee.
I'm still taking Tennessee. I think they'll win by more than 1.
And
I'll either win or push.
You can't push. It's 1.5.
Oh,
Damn
I
it.
thought it was 1.
No.
Okay, I'm still
Read
taking
your email.
Tennessee.
Read your
I'll
email.
take Tennessee by a field goal.
Good Lord. That was difficult. Okay. This is, I don't know what to do with this game. Vandy at Mississippi State, State minus 19. What the hell is this? I don't know what to do with this. Like, can Mississippi State score 19 points on Vandy?
Yes.
Can they? Are you sure? KJ Costello has not thrown a touchdown pass since they beat LSU.
I want Mississippi State in this game, and the reason why, I watched Vanderbilt last week.
Oh,
they're the worst. They are the worst team in the history of college football.
This is like this game is literally
SEC football.
This is like a 17-3 game, and so I'm picking Vandy plus 19.
All right, we're making some moves,
and you're doing State minus 19.
Yeah.
I like this. There's only 4 games, but so far we're different on both. This is when I make moves to come back and beat you. All right, Texas A&M minus 10 at South Carolina. I think the Aggies roll. South Carolina got their teeth kicked in recently, so I'm going to take A&M minus the 10 points.
I agree with that. I'm going A&M as well.
Last game, Zach. This is the good one. This is the big one. To decide the SEC East, we've got Florida in the cocktail party versus Georgia. Georgia minus 3.5. You go first on this one.
Yeah, well, I don't stray. All right. I don't sit here. I'm not a fish out of water. I ain't no flip-flopper. Okay. I don't flip-flop. That ain't my bag. Never has been, never will be. At the beginning of the season, I told you Georgia was going to win the East. Today, I sit here and I tell you Georgia is going to win the East, and I believe that they cover. I think the Dogs have been tested this season more than the Florida Gators, and I think Georgia wins and covers.
Like, Georgia might have been tested more against Alabama, but they flunked.
They tested, though. They learned their lesson.
But they failed it. Like, Florida's
again, Alabama's a superior team. We all know that
by a lot. Georgia's Zach, and Georgia's
Alabama would do the same damn thing to Florida.
I think Florida's offense is so much better than Georgia's. Georgia can only put up 14 against Kentucky. Like, Georgia, Stetson Bennett is going the opposite direction. I'm taking Florida. I think Florida wins the game, but I'm taking Florida plus 3.5. That's my pick.
All right, so this could be the week. I don't think you'll win all of them, but this could be the week where you get closer.
There's going to be some difference. Either you separate or I get a little closer.
Something's going to happen.
Something's going to happen. The lead will change. Your 3-game lead will be different by the end of by Sunday morning.
I hope it doesn't disappear.
We'll see what happens with that. A to Z Sports. Jeff saying Georgia's offense is trash. Stetson Bennett's so bad. Rob saying Bama would destroy Florida. I don't disagree with that. I think Bama is just head and shoulders better than everybody else in the SEC. Ronnie says Georgia only scored 14 points against Kentucky. Their offense is the problem. And Florida's defense played much better last week than they had, obviously, against A&M. I think this is a Florida money line pick as well in this game. So we're different. So, Zach, I took Arkansas plus 1.5. You took Tennessee minus 1.5. I took Vandy plus 19. You're taking State minus 19. We both are on A&M minus 10 at South Carolina, and then we're split on the Georgia minus 3.5 in that last game. All right, let's get it to good news. Ain't that good news? We end the week with good news every week here on A to Z Sports. But first, before we get to your good news and our good news, I'll tell you about some great news. Renters Warehouse Nashville can help you out financially in so many different ways. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go to find out how much your home can rent for. Don't panic, sell your house. If you lost your job, if you've lost a lot of income this year, don't panic, sell your house. Think you got to get out. You can hang on to that long-term equity and let Renters Warehouse do their thing. Renterswarehouse.com is where to go.
All right, A to Z Sports, it's good news. What is your good news? Comment in the comment section. We're going to end a long Friday week. I do feel like this has been a long week. Well, it's Friday. It also means here's some bonus good news. High noon today, the Titans will be taking on the Bears in Madden. I'll be streaming that live on Facebook, and Periscope. So come join. Make sure your live notifications are on. I'm undefeated, all right? And I'm planning to stay undefeated today, but the Bears are in my way.
All right, ain't that good news? Bobby, with his good news, saying the NBA approved their next season structure starting like December 20-something, 22nd?
22nd.
That's good. That's
I know. It's great. It's right around the corner. I can't wait. LeBron defending the championship. Hell yeah, that just gets me juiced.
Jeff Rubel says his good news is he just got on the Disney World property. I believe, Jeff, do you work at Disney World or are you visiting Disney World for the weekend? I'm not really sure about that, but you can add that to me. Add that to your comment. Ethan Ramsey says, my good news is I don't live in Georgia. They're about to get blitzkrieged by political ads. I mean, I think everybody's good news is that the political ads are over. Like, I was gonna have.
We haven't gotten out of the muck yet, right?
At least in Tennessee, maybe though.
No, yeah, but I'm talking about. I'm not talking politics on this show, but something's got to be figured out here sooner rather than later.
I agree. It's far from over. But
the one thing that we have gotten out of it is really funny internet content, because I laughed out loud. Austin, you actually saw me laugh out loud at the tweet that said Nevada counting votes, and then it was a music video to Brian McKnight's 1, 2, 3, 4. I mean, that's just good.
You want to sing it for us?
No, I was thinking about it, but
that's something you can't halfway do that. You have to all the way sing that song. You can't just count it. You have to really get into it.
Yeah, I know.
And that's putting a lot on the line.
It's too much pressure.
Yeah, too much pressure. So what's your good news?
That would be bad news. So my good news.
Yeah. We would all lose.
All right, so I have a different type of good news. I don't want to end on this, so I'm glad you're going last. And usually I do this. Good news, you can have bad news and turn it into good news. And unfortunately, life and death is a part of life, right? And a man that I used to work for and know, and you may not have known this about me, Austin, but you may have seen around the circuits. And if you're a Titans fan, you should know this, because Rick Regan passed away, and Rick Regan was instrumental in Nashville of the campaign NFL Yes in bringing the Tennessee Titans to this city. Mm-hmm. I knew Rick. Rick was at one point, Rick was a mentor to me. He told me how to sell. I worked for he did a lot of stuff for the National Sports Council. We had the Sports Fest that I helped actually create in year one. Rick and Plaz and myself created. If you ever been to Sports Fest here in Nashville, I was a part of that. And sold a lot to the vendors, and Rick helped orchestrate that. Well, Rick passed away this week from a stroke, and I hate that, but good news. I believe, and this is just my personal belief, is that when somebody passes away, it doesn't always have to be bad. It can be a celebration of life, and nobody knows where you go when you die. So I hope that Rick is in a better place than when he was, after he suffered his stroke, right? Nobody wants to be suffering. So this is a time for me to talk about Rick Regan, because he impacted my life in some way, and he impacted everybody's life if you're a Titans fan. So that's my good news.
Here's just a few things. NFL, yes, like you're saying, 35 years, including the chairman of the Nashville Sports Council, helping bring the Music City Bowl, the Country Music Marathon. He was the president of the Nashville Area Athletic Club, the Clinic Bowl back in the day. I mean, there's a lot of things that he had done.
He had a very boisterous personality. Like, you knew when Rick Regan was in the room. It was kind of funny. Big Tennessee fan, big Vol fan.
Yeah, UT alum. I believe we went to Overton High School.
Yep.
Which is where both of my parents went as well. So a little connection there. My good news is, man, I had the best good news leading up until last night. And last night, my good news got ruined. And so I didn't want to not share this good news, because Wednesday I threw shade, Zach, on CBS All Access not allowing for Criminal Minds to be streamed via free trial. So then after the show, Matthew slides into the DMs and says, hey, love the show. if you and your wife want to use my CBS All Access password to watch Criminal Minds, I'd be happy to share for a fellow Criminal Minds fan. And so I'm like, wow, that's super nice. And so Matthew did share his CBS All Access code. And so last night, guess what? Dinner's ready. We're sitting down. We've got a plate full of dinner ready to go. Get the iPad ready to Chromecast up to the TV. Criminal Minds is just not even allowed to be streamed on CBS All Access because CBS lost the rights to stream Criminal Minds after the season is done actually airing. So season 13 of Criminal Minds has to be purchased on Amazon Prime
for how much?
$2.99 an episode.
Jeez.
Or $35 a season.
Oh my God. I mean, how can you justify that? I think I could justify it real quick, Austin. $35, right? If you go, and you probably haven't been, to a movie, you're going to pay $35 if you take your wife.
Oh.
Right? And you're only going to get 2 hours of probably a crappy movie.
Right.
Instead, you could spend $35. Again, I'm just here to help you justify the payment.
We haven't even thought about that yet, though. So.
Right? So movie night actually turns into season because prices are ridiculous at movie theaters. I think if you liked the show enough, you'll do it.
Well, and here's the problem. It's not just $35. It's $35 for season 13. Then there's season 14.
Oh, there's another. How many seasons are there?
Then there's season 15.
Oh.
so
now you're $90 in. Now you should do it.
No, we're over 100 on this. If you're talking about, I mean, that's. But you could also say you can easily spend $100 at a movie theater because they got cocktails now. You can easily go a hundo for a film, as they say.
Right? You're right. I mean, I think you have a point there.
Yeah.
That's big decisions. You got some hard decisions on the horizon.
Now, Zach Goodman does have a good point. That's just the money that I made every week on Coastal Carolina. You're not wrong. You're not wrong, Zach Goodman. I have made enough money on Coastal Carolina to do this. It's just I want to take my winnings from Coastal Carolina and put it back into my betting entertainment for the rest of the way.
You know what we should do? One end of show topic, maybe, I don't know, Monday. I want comments on this. And I saw this earlier. Like Nate John says 9/11 was an inside job, and Rob says Jeffrey Epstein didn't kill himself.
Where did that come from?
I don't know, but we should do what is your conspiracy theory that you truly believe? I think that would be a great segment. Now let's hold it.
Yeah,
right?
We gotta hold this for like June.
This is good. No, we do end of show topic. It's a really good topic.
What
is the conspiracy theory that you believe?
Because Nate wants to allow us to have a Q&A. And Zach Reagan's right. Oh, no way. That would go so south.
Oh, well, no, I don't. I think that we're all big boys and girls here. Like, I think that we could do it properly. I mean, we get out of hand at time, right? We yell at each other. But conspiracy theories, I think, can properly be discussed if you have an open mind and also not being an idiot, right? It takes both.
Hold on. Louis saying that he recorded Criminal Minds on his VCR for free. Louis, do you actually have a VCR? Because I hope not.
I like this idea. I want to do it because I want to hear other people's conspiracy theories. Like somebody may say that we never landed on the moon or the earth is flat or 9/11 was an inside job. Right, I think there's some really good conspiracy theories out there that we need.
Here's one that's not like completely like lighted on fire. Is that Michael Jordan was suspended instead of retired?
It's a great take. That's all I want to talk about. That. So we're doing this. I do have some power in this company, and my power is saying next week we are going conspiracy theory discussion into show topic. So start thinking about it. And we will do this because I would love to hear more.
I'm not a conspiracy theory guy, so I
need
need to
a week to do a little research.
I need to start like watching documentaries or listening to podcasts. Maybe I've got one that I'm totally on board with.
Right?
It's
everybody
local.
does.
It's local too.
It's great. So let's do that next week. It's great. Well, that's a great way to end this Friday show. Looking forward to that.
All right, guys. We'll see you guys over the weekend. Don't forget Big Orange halftime and post game show coming up tomorrow for Tennessee at Arkansas. Where look, I think there's money to be made there. So everybody have a great weekend. We will be. Rob's right. What did I start? You have no idea.
Great. Well, yeah, he started it, and then Nate says, I was saying conspiracy theories in response to what Rob said about Jeffrey Epstein, but honestly, I don't think Lee Harvey Oswald killed JFK. What a lie right there. I was saying ridiculous conspiracy theories, but we never landed on the moon.
Yes, for sure. All right, guys, we will see you Sunday at the Mainstay for Titans Bears. Come check us out. Come hang out with us at the Mainstay, a couple blocks away from Nissan Stadium. Have a great start to your weekend. We'll see you later.